The spotlight effect. Why you feel like everyone's watching you. Imagine this scenario. You wake up in the morning and look in the mirror. You're upset to see a big pimple on your face. You don't want to go to school because you're embarrassed, but you have no choice. You arrive, and as you walk down the hallway, you sense everyone's eyes on you. This makes you feel very uncomfortable. All the other students are staring at you, and so are the teachers. The worse you feel, the more you're sure that everyone is focused on you. This feeling is known as the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is when you believe others notice more about you than they actually do. This can make you feel anxious, which leads to negative thoughts in your head. These thoughts make the spotlight effect even more extreme, because you feel like everyone knows what you're thinking. As a result, you start to think that everyone is judging you.
Hi everyone, welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
Now, have you ever felt like everyone's looking at you?
Yes, all the time.
Well, that's usually because they are. You're a teacher, but there is that reason. But there's also some good news, and we're going to learn about why you feel this way, and also the good news in today's article. So let's get cracking with part 1. It begins by saying, imagine this scenario.
Scenario or scenario 这个名词是可能的情况或是场景，所以它要我们想象一个可能的情况或场景。So what's this scenario?
Yeah, it's like, what's this situation? What's this scene?
Right.
Okay, it says you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror.
Normal?
Yeah, that's pretty normal. You're upset to see a big pimple on your face.
Pimple 是粉刺或是痘痘，所以早上起来你看到镜子里面的你有一个痘痘在脸上。How does that feel? Of course, it's bad, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't look as nice as I could.
Yeah, so of course I'll get really upset with this pimple and I'll try to squeeze it.
Oh, you might want to put some medicine on it too, something like that.
After I squeeze it.
Okay. Well, here's the article saying you don't want to go to school because you're embarrassed. But you have no choice. Yes, you might feel embarrassed if you have a big white or red mark on your nose, on your forehead. Being embarrassed is this feeling of awkwardness and shame because you are, have, or did something that will cause society to judge you and laugh at you. Now, embarrassed isn't about like you've really done something awful, like you've committed a crime or really hurt someone. It's usually something a little bit silly, a little bit not so important. Afterwards, you'll look back and you'll laugh about it and go, oh, I was so embarrassed about that, but in the end, who cares? Here's an example. Ken felt embarrassed after he tried to show off his basketball skills, but fell on his bottom.
Oh no, 所以呢，他感到不好意思。那感到不好意思的这个形容词呢，就是 embarrassed。那如果是某件事令你觉得不好意思，那我们就要用 embarrassing 来形容。我们会说 something is embarrassing， 令你觉得不好意思。
So you have to go to school, and the article continues. You arrive, and as you walk down the hallway, you sense everyone's eyes on you. So a hallway is just another name for a long corridor. It usually has quite a high ceiling and it usually has many doors on it. We talk about hallways being in larger buildings, schools, hospitals, big office buildings, not just that kind of short passage maybe from your front door to your living room or something little like that. Here's an example sentence using this word. I met my friend in the school hallway after class and we went for lunch together.
Hallway 这个名词呢，就是走廊或是走道啦。所以呢，走廊走道这个字，我们可以用 hall H-A-L-L 加上 W-A-Y。
Now we said as you walk down there, you sense everyone's eyes on you. Let's take a moment to look at the way we are using this verb sense. So sense has a couple of meanings. It can mean to feel or pick up some information using your senses. You see it, you hear it, you smell it, something like that. But here we kind of mean you become aware of something without being able to explain exactly how you know. It's just this feeling you have. So as you walk down this hallway at school, maybe you don't see everybody looking at you or hear them going, hey, look at you, look at that guy, he's got a pimple. What you're really doing is feeling it. You're not using actual evidence, you're just sensing, I can just feel everyone is looking at me. Here's another example. Joe sensed that his teacher wasn't happy with his work.
Sense 在这边当作动词来解释哦，那是意识到或是感觉到。那这个字呢也可以当名词使用，那就是感觉或是感官。像是呢，人类有5种感官，就是有 5 senses.
Yeah, which we've got sight, smell,
hearing,
yep, smell,
taste,
and touch. So the article carries on and says, all the other students are staring at you, and so are the teachers. So you don't just feel embarrassed because your friends and that cute girl or guy over there is looking at you. Even the teachers are like, whoa, check that pimple. So they are staring. To stare means to look at something for a long time or with a lot of focus and attention. Or for a long time with a lot of focus and attention. So it could be either or both. Here's an example. Amy stared at the love letter, trying to work out who might have sent it.
Stare at somebody or something, 那就是盯着某人或是某物，这样子很仔细、很注意的看。
Yeah, of course, it is rude to stare at a person, but you might stare out of the window, stare at a picture in an art museum, stare at your phone for ages, that kind of thing. Now, that sentence also included today's language in focus. So let's take a moment to look at that sentence pattern in more detail.
今天的 language in focus 要讲到的是复合句的用法。那如果呢，我们要说的是肯定的复合句，我们就会用 to 这个字，好，就是 too， 它可以置于复合句的句尾，不过前面呢要加上一颗逗号。那如果呢，你要把它置于复合句句首的话，你要把这个字变成 so 哦。好 ，so 这个字呢，它置于复合句句首，复合句句中主词跟动词或是助动词就必须要倒装使用。那如果是否定复合句的话，我们会用的是 either 或是 either， 好，两种念法都可以。它也是一样要置于复合句的句尾，前面也要加上一颗逗号。那如果你要摆到句首来，你要变成 neither 这个字，好，那 neither 至于复合句句首，复合句句中的主词跟动词或是助动词就要倒装咯，好，跟前面是一样的。那 neither 本身啊，它已经有否定的意思了，所以不要再加上 not。好，那给同学们一个例句咯。如果是肯定复合句的话，你可以说像是 Brian is a high school student. Brian 他是一个高中学生。You are too 就代表你也一样。或者是倒装的话，就是 so are you。那否定复合呢，我们可以说这样的句子 ：Sandra didn't go to school yesterday. Peter didn't go to school yesterday either. 好，那如果要摆到句首来，你可以说 Neither did Pete.
So yeah, we could also say both the teachers and the students, or both the students and the teachers are staring at you. And the article continues and says, the worse you feel, the more you're sure that everyone is focused on you. Now, this kind of sentence pattern where you've sort of got two comparative adjectives, the worse, the more, it's used to show that the relationship of these things is connected. As one increases, the other increases. So in other words, the worse you feel, the more you feel bad, you get even more convinced that everyone's looking at you. And the two seem to be connected and there's no stopping them. And as the article explains, this feeling is known as the spotlight effect. Of course, the spotlight is that great big bright light that shines on actors on a soundstage or on an actual play stage. We've in fact got spotlights pointing at us right now. So we've also got this phrase be known as in this sentence. The phrase be known as is used to give something its common name or the term that many people use for it. There might be other names, scientific names, something like that, but this is the one that is pretty common and most people will have heard of. The article goes on to say, the spotlight effect is when you believe others notice more about you than they actually do.
Do you experience that all the time or
No,
not really?
Not really, because again, how many years have I been an actor? Like 25 years?
You're used to it.
I just assume everyone's looking at me and I want it that way.
Right.
But before I took to the stage as a younger person who was maybe more embarrassed, yeah, maybe I can just about remember how that felt. And it doesn't feel great, the article says. This can make you feel anxious, which leads to negative thoughts in your head. The feeling that everyone's looking at you, you start to think, oh my goodness, it's terrible.
Yeah, do I look okay?
I just want to go home. I want to change schools. I want to move to a new country where nobody will know me and remember this. You will definitely get anxious. Let's take a moment to look at what this adjective means. If you are anxious, you're worried about something that either is happening or that might happen in the future, but before you know how bad or not it is. Think about before an exam or after you've taken the exam, but before you get your grade, before a job interview, that kind of thing. You don't really know what's going on. You can't control what's going to happen anymore, so you're just really worried about what the outcome is. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Will it be terrible? That kind of thing. You might say, Lucy is anxious about the English exam, so she's studying hard.
Anxious 这个形容词呢，就在形容你的心情是很焦虑的、不安的。那我们可以说 be anxious about something。好，在 about 后面加上一个名词，那就是你对那件事情感到焦虑。那如果你的这件事情想要用一个子句来带出的话，那你可以用 be anxious that 加上子句，好，你就可以带出焦虑不安的事情究竟是什么。
Like I am anxious that my crush will reject me when I ask her to the dance. And as we said, those anxious feelings give you negative thoughts, and it gets worse. It keeps going. The article says these thoughts make the spotlight effect even more extreme because you feel like everyone knows what you're thinking. So not only do you think people are looking at you, looking at the pimple on your face and laughing or thinking, oh, that's so embarrassing, you get this idea that they can see into your head, read your thoughts. It's like you're shouting out loud, I'm useless, I wish I could disappear. And everyone knows that's how you feel. Of course, they can't, but that's how extreme this situation is. The word extreme describes situations and behavior which are much more severe, stronger, more unusual than you would expect. And we especially use this adjective in this way when it's a bad thing, when you kind of disapprove of it, something like that. It's not in a good way. We could use it in a good way. This is extreme fun, something like that. But here, for example, we could say the little boy's fear grew more extreme as the large dog got closer. In other words, his fear got stronger as the dog got closer, and it was a bad experience, so we're using it in this way.
Extreme 这边是形容词啊，那代表的是极端的，可以用来形容人或是想法。好，人的比如说作为很极端，或是想法很极端，都可以用它来形容。那也可以用来形容天气哦，比如说 extreme weather， 那就是极端的气候，特别炎热或是特别的寒冷。
Yeah, we don't really use extreme weather for, wow, what a beautiful sunny day.
No.
It's typhoons, it's horrible storms, it's extreme cold or heat waves, that kind of thing. So you get these negative thoughts. You think people can see these thoughts. It all piles up. And the article says, as a result, you start to think that everyone is judging you. And this phrase, as a result, of course, is used to show the result or the consequence of something. It's similar to the use of as a result of but you do that to show the cause with the effect in the next clause of the sentence. By itself, as a result, you just follow that with the effect. So, as a result of the negative thoughts, you think everyone is judging you, or just as a result, you think everyone is judging you. That is the effect. Okay, so that is the end of day 1. Tomorrow we'll learn more about how and why the spotlight effect works and why it's nothing to worry about. But for now, let's go to our For You chat question. The chat question is, have you ever experienced the spotlight effect? How did it make you feel? And what did you do to deal with it?
Of course I have, and I think, of course, everybody has experienced the spotlight effect, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, especially growing up, you can't really avoid.
Yeah, especially when I was maybe a teenager or when I was younger, I felt like all the eyes were on me.
Yeah.
So for example, whenever I spilled coffee on my shirt,
Okay.
I would think, oh no, people are gonna think I'm so dirty. People are gonna think I don't wash my clothes. They're gonna laugh at me. But actually, they didn't even notice the coffee stain.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really pay that much attention.
Right.
So how did you deal with it? You just kind of got through it?
Yeah, I kind of just hide it, hide the coffee stain. But actually, yeah, like I said, nobody even noticed it.
People do have their own stuff on their own mind.
Right.
So I think I almost went the other way. It's like, all right, everyone's looking at me. I'm going to make sure they keep looking at me.
Okay, so you spill more coffee on the shirt.
Well, not quite that, but I will, I like this attention. I'll keep this attention. I'll use it to show that I can do funny stuff, cool stuff as well. So instead of noticing, oh, he's got like a spot on his face, a stain on his clothes, they're like, look at that guy. What a crazy guy. What's he doing? And they kind of think of that instead of the embarrassing stuff. So for me, dive into it, embrace it. That was how I dealt with it. And then as you get older, you just don't care as much anymore.
Yeah, I just don't care about it.
Happens. All right, well, those are some ways. Let's learn in day 2 how else you can deal with it and what else you need to know. We'll see you for that tomorrow. But for now, it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Embarrassed. Jordan felt embarrassed when he slipped and fell in front of everyone in his class. Hallway. To get to room 101, walk down this hallway and turn left. Sense. The mouse sensed danger, so it ran under the rocks. Stare. Harry stared at the puzzle for a long time, but he still couldn't solve it. Anxious. Maggie is anxious about the exam tomorrow, but she has studied a lot, so she should be fine. Extreme. Tommy felt very ill, so he went to the hospital. Luckily, his illness wasn't as extreme as he thought.
智慧小补帖
Scenario. Pimple.